All right, this is Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. I've got Ruben Ace Torres, a rising super lightweight star out of California, Southern California, undefeated, got a big fight coming up in Ontario against another undefeated kid, Francisco Armenta, on Friday, December 17th. How you doing, Ruben?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, just about a week out. We're ready to go. We know it's gonna be a fun night. You know, going in there against somebody who's also undefeated. It's gonna be a competitive one, but we're looking for nothing less than a dominating victory.
Awesome, and we're going to talk about the fight a little bit more. But like I said, oops, I lost you there for a second. There you are. Like I said at the beginning, I talked to a lot of guys that have already, been champions, been in the sport. I love talking to guys that are on the rise, like yourself. I know you had a pretty stellar amateur career coming up, won 3 Junior Olympics, I believe, and now you're an undefeated pro. Let's talk about coming up in Southern California. I'm from Southern California as well, from the San Fernando Valley, but I know you moved around a lot and kind of got your chops in South Central LA, which isn't the easiest place to grow up. Can you talk about that?
I mean, that's just part of our history, like where my family comes from, and I mean, you don't really get to pick. It's just one of the cards that you're dealt with. So being that my parents and all of their siblings came up in that area, that's kind of what led us to move around to the other side of the freeway, which is where I started boxing at in the city of Pico Rivera. So just traveling back and forth, you kind of get you see like the difference between the areas from the suburbs. You go back to the ghetto, and then I don't know, just just your surroundings, your areas. You kind of you become a product of your environment. So that's probably one of the reasons why just naturally I was raised just always fighting. Just a fighter, whether it be with my cousins or with my brother or in school. It was just something that just came natural. And so that's what kind of led to, wanting to learn how to actually, throw some proper punches and things like that. And I don't know, man, we just stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, you mentioned, fighting in school and stuff. I would imagine it being tough, if you're moving around a lot, having to make new friends everywhere you go. Was that kind of the challenge? And, you just kind of had a chip on your shoulder?
When you're younger, you don't really see it as that, but now, looking at it, and now that you mention it, it kind of, because, when you come to like when you go to that new school and kids are already established, like they're friends, and then they have like this outsider who is kind of taking that attention away from them or whatever it may be, you kind of do, you gotta prove yourself in a way, or people come at you a certain way and you got to just let them know, like, nah, it's not going to go down like that. So, I mean, I guess if you look at it that way, you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, and you started off, you played basketball, football, which is normal, sport to play as a kid. And then at 9 years old, you actually had your first amateur fight. What was it about boxing and just getting in that ring, an individual sport, much different than basketball and football. What was it like, that first time?
My first fight, I actually lost, but it was overall a great experience because I had fought a kid who had like, I don't know, he probably had like 9 fights or something like that. And it was my first fight. And I felt like I won, of course. So, just kind of that motivation and like, I'm new to this game and this dude's kind of already been there. And, I could have won that fight. So it just kind of like started off like a little hunger for more. Like, you just want to get better and better. And boxing, there's not really like, you can be really good, but there's always something to learn. And it's as far as you want to take it, So in team sports, you kind of like, you can only go so far or move so fast as like those around you. But in boxing, it's like, if you're putting in the work, you're putting in the time, man, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and sky's the limit. You're undefeated, as I mentioned, 16-0, 13 KOs. So would you consider yourself a knockout artist?
Yeah, I think so. As far as I wish I could be like 16-0 with 16 knockouts, but then I think there's a certain pressure that comes with that too. Is like every fight is like everybody's always like, oh, is he gonna get the knockout? Is he gonna get the knockout? So I think that kind of helps me. But yeah, I believe in my power enough to say that like I could consider myself a knockout artist.
Yeah, and you're 6 feet, what I read, super lightweight. So 140 pounds, 6 feet. You're a tall, super lightweight. How does that height play to your advantage? And is there any disadvantages when you're in the ring being much taller?
Well, as you know, styles make fights, man. So it all just depends who I go in there against. You always gotta adapt. But as far as using my length, I mean, it's pretty much it all starts with the jab. Um, being able to fight on the outside is it's a blessing because the name of the game is hit and not get hit. So if I could do that and end the night early with a 1-2 combo or something from afar where I don't even have to put myself. Obviously, sometimes you got to get in there and mix it up against some of these tougher fighters. So that's one of the things that I would say is probably like takes away from being so tall is a disadvantage. Is like sometimes when you do get an opponent who's not afraid to mix it up, it gets kind of risky when you got to throw those solid uppercuts or those solid body shots because you're putting yourself in a vulnerable place. So I mean, it has its pros and cons, you know.
Right, right. And I see that your favorite fighter going today is Terence Crawford. So hearing about your style, although he doesn't have the height, he does have a pretty good reach and versatile. It sounds like you being that all-around fighter, that's what you like about Terence.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it, man. Just from a boxing, like strictly boxing, like forget all the knockout stuff, forget all the whatever the media has to say. Like you gotta respect. You can see like all the studying he's done. You can see all of the hours that he's put in the gym just by looking at just the different ways that he can take out opponents and like for real, much respect to that dude, man. It would be a blessing to be able to learn from him in the ring one day.
So I just got to ask you. I think I know the answer, but I live in Dallas now. I've been in camp with Spence several times. Obviously, he's had a rough go of it the last few years. How do you see a fight between Bud and Spence playing out if it were to happen?
Man, that would be a great fight to see overall. I think I'm leaning towards just off of style alone, probably Bud. Um, but yeah, who knows? Who knows? The sport of boxing is crazy. You just saw what happened to Teofimo and stuff. So like you can't ever take nobody lightly. I just think that would be one of the fights or that is the one of the top fights that needs to be seen in 2022.
And in 2019 and in 2020 and in 2021.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a long time going, but
Yeah.
you can't knock it. They're letting it build up or whatever it may be, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's hope it happens next year, though. I'm with you on that. I just want to see a great fight, two great guys, and hopefully it happens. You mentioned you can't take anyone lightly. Let's talk about, there's been some big fights, not necessarily at 140 recently, but you mentioned Teofimo against Cambosis. Obviously, Tank and Pitbull, fought in your backyard last weekend as well. You had Devin Haney going same weekend. I mean, it was a busy time.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Teofimo fight in Cambosis, and were you as shocked as a lot of people on what took place?
That was a great fight. I was, I wasn't really looking into like or seeing all the commotion, just whatever you see like on IG or whatever, like the whole, trash talking and all that. But I mean, there's a reason why Teofimo was the undisputed champ. because or almost undisputed. He had most of the belts, like 3 out of the 4 or something. But I didn't think it was gonna go down like that. So just to see Kambosos come out like that and get the early knockdown, the fight had me on my toes. Like I was at the edge of my seat the whole fight, the whole way through. And I mean, as far as the Gervonta fight, I seen that happening, and I was actually I mean, he got the job done. Isaac Cruz is also another hungry contender, and now he's going to be a problem in the lightweight ranks. And well, I think Gervonta got the job done. He did a nice job, just sticking to what he knows and just boxing after he found out that Isaac Cruz wasn't going to go away so easily.
Yeah, and obviously, I would imagine you're 24 years old. Tank is a little bit older, but a lot of the guys, like Devin, like Teofimo, they're all around your age group. Do you want to get in there with these guys now? Do you feel you're ready to fight for a title?
Yeah, I got faith in myself. I think I could, for sure.
And you're just kind of waiting on that opportunity.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the sport, whatever it was that, whoever they're promoted by, whoever they're managed by, or even just who they fought, they're there right now. So by the time I get there, if they're there, then we'll see them. If not, whoever's up there is going to have to, deal with me.
Yeah, and let's talk about, I mentioned earlier, you're 140, so we don't need to dwell too much on 135, although it looks like Teofimo's moving up. Haney, I think we all know is, probably not far behind. But right now, the guy at 140 is Josh Taylor, who won a hell of a fight against Jose Ramirez, and got all the belts, no dispute there. What are your thoughts on Josh Taylor? He's a big 140 as well. Can you see you matching up against him?
I think I can even still make 135 as of right now. In the future, who knows? Anything is possible. To maybe at 47, because I heard actually that he might vacate and move up to 147. But he's a dog. I seen the fight with him and Regis was a war, and everybody's kind of afraid of Regis because he has power and whatnot. So he's a dog, and I mean, like you said, undisputed for a reason. But yeah, for sure. Eventually, I mean, when you get to that level, it's only so many ways you can go. You either go 1, 2, 3, or 10. So if I was to get a shot at his belts, maybe even all of them, so why not? I'll take it.
You mentioned Regis. I believe you sparred with Regis in the past.
Yes, sir. It was before he was supposed to fight. What's his name? I just had a brain fart. The fight got canceled though. He was gonna fight, I think, Maurice Hooker.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they got canceled. So we were able to. I was able to work with him, help him out. When he was staying in LA for that camp, but then like 2 weeks later, the fight got canceled while we were on our way to sparring. So we pulled up and we were like, "So what's going on?" Like it literally just got announced, and he was like, "Well, I mean, you're already here." So we sparred, and then that was pretty much the last time that we went. And I don't think that fight ever happened.
No, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I actually know Mo Hooker here from Dallas as well. So what was that like being in with Regis? You mentioned his fight with Josh Taylor. What was that like, that experience for you?
It was dope. Just I said it multiple times, like just to be able to go in there and kind of get a feel of what it like. That's world class competition, So just being able to go in there and test your skills against the best, like what other way is there to get better? It's that same old saying, iron sharpens iron. So just going in there and and duking it out with a top class competitor is just like that's a blessing in its own, just to be able to learn from somebody like that who's been there, who is gonna come with his A game every time.
And I can imagine you more than held your own.
You got to be on your toes, man. You got to be on your toes, because these guys are not playing around. They're not taking nobody lightly. They're not taking you lightly. They know what they're after, so they're going in there looking for any excuse to put you down. So you it's not to look back on it. It's a great experience, and they were like more than cool, more than welcoming. Going to their gym and stuff like that. Very cool people, very humble.
Awesome. And we'll wrap up here in a few. I'm here with Ruben, Torres, Jeff Zimmerman from FightNews.com. Your nickname is Ace. I meant to ask you, where did that nickname come from?
Kind of just with the homies, messing around in school and stuff like that. My name is it comes from like movies and music, this all together. You hear Ace like be thrown around, and they kind of just went with my name. So Ruben Ace Torres, it kind of just stuck, and the homies started calling me that. And I was in the gym with my coach Jerry, shout out Coach Jerry, and like my homie Ruben Villa and Michael Dutch over, and they were like, and they asked me like, what do your homies call you? And I told them Ace. They're all just making fun of me like, oh, Big Ace, you sound like a straight veterano or something like that. And I was like, nah, it's not even like that. So I kind of just stuck. And ever since then, whenever they ask me, what's your name gonna be? What's your nickname? Just say Ace.
Hey man, that's a great nickname. So
appreciate it.
That's good that it stuck. I can see that. Let's talk about a little bit of history, though. Your dad was a boxing fan initially that got you into the sport. I would imagine you love Muhammad Ali, or he was your favorite fighter of all time. Is it through your dad, or how? I mean, being a young fighter, obviously I never saw Ali fight either, but I'm a little bit older. What was it about Muhammad Ali that he became your favorite?
Right now, like at this point in my life, it's just like seeing. I was just talking to my coach about this the other day, like seeing athletes who are bad, like they're beasts, and they know that they're beasts, and they talk that shit behind it. Like that's just so dope to me, because it's like what we were saying, Larry Bird, and like how them dudes on the basketball court, like you see it on TV and you see them playing, but you don't think that like they're talking all kind of stuff on that court that you can't hear because you're on the TV and stuff. So I think Muhammad Ali was like one of the first ones to do it. Like he didn't care. He stood his ground, and he stood on what he said. Whether he won, whether he lost, like he just had that confidence, and nobody could tell him different. So, and on top of that, he was a beast in the heavyweight ranks since a youngin. A young world champion at like what, 20 years old, 21 years old. That's like that was but I didn't even get to him until I think I was already like probably 5-6 years in the game. Then kind of just hearing about it in the gym, different people talking about it. But as far as my pops, he put me onto the sport early. I just remember like I have like memories of watching a lot of the Juan Manuel Marquez fights, and we even went to see Rafael Marquez when he fought Vasquez the last time at Stable Center. So he went once like I had already started boxing. I was still younger, but he kind of like would take me to these fights, and kind of just, I think now there's like a little bit of motivation to see like, oh man, like this is what you're doing it for. Now that I'm looking back at it, but just it's a beautiful sport to see. It's like the modern day gladiators, and you see when they used to in the Roman Empire, when they used to put people in there to fight against lions and against each other and things like that, and see the last one to be alive. That's what it feels like nowadays to me. Is like people, this is entertainment. People love to see this two fighters all bleeding, cut up, still going at it, tired as hell. But I mean, that's what we do it for.
How proud is your dad to see what you've achieved in your career?
I'm I'm pretty sure he's proud. He don't really he lets me know. He lets me know. I can see it in his face. Like after a fight, like he just be so like so many emotions that he just went through. I'm pretty sure he'd be nervous and stuff like that. But both my parents are very proud of me, and that's more than enough. You know, even if we don't do nothing, at least you can say like, you know, I made my parents proud. Like that's a beautiful thing.
Since we're both from LA, and I can't let that Larry Bird reference slip by because, I mean, you're right. He talked more smack than anybody on the court, but he backed it up. I mean, I grew up when he was going against Magic Johnson every year in the Lakers. You know, Magic that was my team, right? Being, you know,
Yeah.
from LA. And so hear the Larry Bird and hearing, you know, your story around Muhammad Ali and then doing research on it, I think is cool because I think what happens a lot of times, especially in the newer generation, you know, they think everything started maybe at Floyd Mayweather. You know, they kind of forget, you know, the Sugar Ray
Where he got
Leonards,
it from. Yeah, where he
yeah,
got it from.
and the Durans and the, you know, Hearns and Haglers and, you know, all those guys and the Ali. So kudos to you for, you know, for all that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Floyd is actually like, that's like my equivalent to like, you know, being able to watch Ali for like the older heads and stuff like that. So, that's also one of the things. Like I remember, I think his like Hall of Fame speech, and he's talking about like I wanted to have power like Sugar Ray Robinson, and I wanted to have fast hands like Ali. So like hearing him say those names, and I would go back and you know you to some of these guys, and then you know, it just becomes a habit, like seeing old fights and even newer fights, and you can always just you know take things and learn and try to make it your own. And I think that's what another beautiful thing about the sport is like um, keeping those names alive, but also like creating your own style at the same time. So
Well said. Yeah, and Floyd definitely a historian, the best of his generation, no doubt. So that's really cool. So let's talk a little bit more about the fight you got coming up Friday, December 17th. Fighting a tough kid out of Mexico, Francisco La Roca Armenta, 12-0, 4 knockouts. So, you know, undefeated, doesn't have a lot of knockouts, but we both know that Mexican fighters are tough fighters. What do you know about them, and what should we expect?
not too much, man. I've seen a couple of his fights, but they're pretty dated, probably like 2-3 years ago. So not really expecting him to be the same fighter. I mean, that's a long time for you to you know get better, learn some new skills. We're just gonna go in there and you know we've had a great camp, a lot of great sparring, and just do what we do best, man. Like I said, fight behind that jab. If he wants to put pressure, we got some answers for that. If he wants to be on the outside, good luck to him because I don't think he could outbox me. But it's going to be a great night. Make sure everybody tunes in, whoever's watching. You can watch it live or pull up to the DoubleTree in Ontario next Friday, December 17th. Thompson Boxing Promotions.
Awesome. And assuming all goes well, Ruben, on this fight, are you hoping in 2022 for a title shot if things go as planned?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Like you said, first things first, let's get through December. But next year, you know, I got faith in my promoter, and my team, and we're just gonna, you know, take it win by win and try to crack these rankings.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Jeff Zimmerman from FightNews.com with rising contender Ruben Ace Torres, 16-0, 13 knockouts. Got another big fight coming up as the co-feature of Estrella Sanchez in Ontario, December 17th against the undefeated Francisco Armenta. Man, this was a pleasure and honor to talk to you, Ruben. Like I said, I like talking to young rising fighters. Great head on your shoulders. Wish you nothing but the best. Good luck on December 17th. And I look forward to watching you next year and hope to do this again soon.
Well done, Jeff. Thank you, man. It was great to meet you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, brother.